Perfect. All right, we are now recording this meeting and we are kicking off. So again, thank you all so much for coming. We are officially beginning tonight's topic of exploring AI through user experience. Very excited to hand it off to Dawn in just a few minutes here to jump into our topic for the evening. Again, just a little bit about us. We are the New Hampshire chapter of the User Experience Professionals Association. Our meetings are open to anybody interested in learning more about user experience. No membership required, typically no dues, no fees required to attend any of these events. Feel free to share them as far and wide as you'd like. We would absolutely love for anybody interested to be able to join in and learn along with us. Tonight's meeting is brought to us by Stormdog Design. Please meet Stormdog Design, your new user's best friend. We've pulled the user experience dog sled for industry leaders from insurance to manufacturing, and we've led packs of design teams around the world. Stormdog has the nose you need to sniff out the top strategic user experience initiatives for your organization and the dedication and drive to fetch the right results. Please say hello to Stephen at stormdog.design. And if you'd like to help out, that could be you. We have sponsorship opportunities available both for these virtual meetings. We would love to meet some in-person sponsors. If you're interested in hosting an event, please reach out to me, the Events and Finance Director, at our common email, nhUXPA@gmail.com. You can address them to Stephen. I will be sure to get them. We are also working on the Wicked Cool Friends of the New Hampshire UXPA, which I am, again, fleshing out the details of, but really hearing a lot of the feedback. We'd love to open up a channel to have some more direct communications, trying to find a way to people get together on a more personal level in smaller groups. And most importantly, it has to have a cool sticker. That is the most important thing of any new organization. You get a Wicked Cool sticker if you're part of it. So more to come on that in the future, probably after my new baby arrives, one thing at a time. Next month in March, we are very excited to share that Dr. Jerry Reckart will be joining us, a researcher and consultant who has transitioned into user experience research and user research through a long career in education, and will be sharing his knowledge around user testing, specifically proving ourselves wrong, making sure that when we're jumping into our testing, when we're conducting our research, we are not looking to just tell people or have people tell us that we're giving them what they're looking for. We want people to take our designs and show us what we are missing. So very excited to have that coming next month. But with that, I would love to now hand it over to Dawn for tonight's topic, exploring AI through UX. Take it away, Dawn.
Oh, unmute. Okay, awesome. So thank you guys for being here today. I'm so glad that all of you are here with me to talk about AI. My name is Dawn. I'm here at the New Hampshire UXPA with you guys today. And I just wanted to start off kind of unconventional because I am with a quote. As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of the human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being. And that's a quote from Carl Jung, who basically this quote kind of resonates with my name, light and darkness, but really kind of anyone who's on a journey of learning or a journey of self-discovery, you want to be kind of kindling a light and kind of showing the way for collective humanity. So just because we are all kind of learning today about AI, I did want to kind of share that quote. And so today we're just going to talk about a little bit about me. So I'm going to introduce you to my journey here into UX and talk about AI foundations, AI as in UX, and take any questions at the end. So my professional journey, and I think this is why Emily reached out to me, is been a windy road, and I'm just like a creative person, an artist, and I actually started as a self-taught filmmaker and photographer, and I produce a lot of experimental works, and I would really love, learning how to use the camera as a cinematographer, as a photographer, being a writer, producer, and do video editing, all of it. I just really love that process, but it didn't pay the bills. And my next journey was kind of informal education with graphic design and getting my associate's degree there. But then I realized graphic design is such a wide spectrum that I decided to go into UX boot camp. And that was something where I got a chance to work with my cohort, and they were really people that I keep in touch with now. And I think it's really valuable when you're learning together, because UX can be such a small kind of community that you keep relationships moving forward. And these people have gone on in my cohort to be very notable designers themselves. And so that was a great experience for me. And I landed my first job at Code and Theory Agency, which is a A-list agency in New York. And I worked there as an interaction designer. So a lot of people don't know the difference between interaction design, UX design. Really, interaction design is more so focused on kind of handing over to dev, or kind of creating those interactions kind of after the define phase in the building apps or any kind of product. So I wanted to kind of grow as a designer. And even though I really love interaction design, there's a lot of annotations. But I wanted to kind of grow in strategy and in design phase. So I got a position as a product designer at Snoop, where I work with Emily Masterson and an amazing team, building innovative solutions for learners. And there I got a chance to work from the define phase, user interviews and things like that, to really understand UX as a whole. And unfortunately, I was a product of layoffs, just like many, many others in this industry and in tech as a whole. And I had a short stint back in September, was laid off, and was able to find another position at Trimble as a UX designer. And I've been there for the past couple of months. So yeah, I know it is really hard out there. So I want to sympathize with anyone who may have gone through something similar. So I have worked with a lot of clients, from Party City to 1-800-Flowers. You see Southern New Hampshire University there, and Tylenol. So just so you know, I've ran the spectrum of fintech to edtech, and I have worked on a lot of projects. This is me. I kind of wanted to share with you guys what has been successful for me and kind of my transferable skills. Here's me kind of shooting on set, and I took this to the same way I think about UX, and that you adjust the lighting, you get a new perspective. Sometimes, you move the person one way and you get this kind of dramatic lighting, or you just change the whole scene, and it kind of gives us an empathy and helps us consider like business issues, development capabilities, things like that. So that was kind of a holistic design kind of a principle that I use moving forward, to foster more inclusive and comprehensive approach to problem solving. And that's something that I took from filmmaking and photography. So another thing I wanted to say was part of my success is finding a common ground. Here's just me in my team, where I've been working remotely for the past 4 years with cross-functional teams, with engineering and product management for the past 4 years, in building dope projects. And everyone has a diverse background, just really finding a common ground with people who have different cultural sensitivities, and just having an understanding that everybody's perspective is really valuable. And that's something that has been really that I like to take into every opportunity, is really listening, and that's part of holistic design as well. Another thing that I have taken from filmmaking and photography, of course, having that narrative and simplifying what may be a really difficult UX decision, could be something as simple as login, but really kind of telling that story throughout the process of understanding that, you're talking to stakeholders and sometimes just giving them a narrative or a story, something that I have taken from, taking abstract concepts and really showing that flow, showing that opportunity for telling the user story. I always share this picture of my daughter because I took this picture, and actually I would have it in the background of each of my interviews. And I actually landed 2 jobs showing this picture that I'd taken of my daughter. And really, she's my motivation. And this is the last thing I want to share about myself. So I just wanted to share with her that anything you in life you can achieve with passion and self-discipline and overcoming obstacles. And people, actually the last shot, they were like, did you take that picture? And I was like, yes, I took it. And, they found that impressive. So always use your transferable skills is what I want to say. Always look for an opportunity to overcome and evolve. So that's my spiel about me. Now getting into artificial intelligence, okay? So here's a little agenda. I'm not gonna be specific, but we're gonna go over kind of the basics of artificial intelligence, and just so you can kind of wrap your mind around this AI word. So anybody in the chat, yeah, I think I can see the chat. I just wanna know, it's been kind of a long couple years, but since AI emerged, or how you feel about now, basically just want to know what your impressions are of AI. Is it something that, you're scared of? Is it something that you're excited about? How do you feel about it? If you can't tell, I'm kind of a philosophical type of person, so I'd love to know just, kind of general thoughts. So I do see some folks in the chat, and I don't know if I can get to the chat. Maybe you can call it out
I
for
have it. We
me.
have a lot. Yes, we have a lot of excited, a little
Okay.
part equal good and bad, pros and cons, good potential, interesting tools, wary about society becoming dependent, finding help but scared as it could take over some of our roles. First, I was scared and I was intrigued, worried about garbage in, garbage out. I know I've seen some of that on AI starting to train itself on other AI. Excited for the possibilities, annoyed by the media hype. Yes, it's certainly really talked about now. I'll say the last one for myself. I see it the same way as the internet was first described: vague but exciting.
Yes, I love it. I love you guys' responses. I kind of feel the same way. I have the same sentiments about AI. These I generated in Adobe Express, and I'm just like, do a scary AI, picture. And generally when you do kind of type in to try to generate pictures of AI, for some reason AI comes out with like a scary picture of them. So I don't know if they think they are scary. Um, so what is artificial intelligence? It's not just like one big thing, actually. It's actually like a set of tools. And so if you look here at this diagram, you can see that AI kind of encompasses these tools that kind of make up AI as a whole. So Alan Turing, who is the founder of all AI, says that AI is the science of engineering and making intelligent machines, especially intelligent computer programs. So basically, these broad range of technologies are used in a lot of applications, but basically it's making kind of an intelligent computer. But as you can see in this diagram, within AI, there's machine learning. Within machine learning, there's deep learning, and there's also natural language processing. So these are all parts of AI. Foundation models, kind of like the basement. of AI, if you can kind of think of it that way. And AI is kind of like the tools that you would use in like your house. Um, so they're a type of AI, and they're basically trained on massive data sets for general purpose tasks. And within foundation models is large language models, which what we're most familiar with, ChatGPT, or Google Gemini that's out now. So it's specific, it's trained on a specific type of model that is making it kind of smarter, learning those statistical relationships between words and phrases, and it's really good at generating text. So ChatGPT is a type of a model. It's a large language model. So here are large language models. This is kind of a newer slide from 2023, but as you can see, when you look at like Google, at that time it was Google Palm E, they were a lot smaller than ChatGPT. Um, and ChatGPT has a lot of data. We started using ChatGPT immediately. So basically, when you see these parameters, and this is 5 billion parameters, it's kind of weights within a matrix. So the more data you have, the more statistical relationships you can make, the more features can be extracted, and the smarter that the model becomes. So as you can see, OpenAI, nobody even knows how large OpenAI is, which is ChatGPT 4, which is right now. And then looking into kind of 2024, Google Gemini and OpenAI ChatGPT 5 is coming. We have no idea how much data they have, how smart this thing could be, because it's already gotten so much smarter. So natural language processing, and follow me, is part of AI within that toolbox. And basically it makes you kind of, or it makes the machine learning in a way, um, process language in a way so that it understands relationship extraction, sentiment analysis. And I kind of give you an example of this would be, so if you had a Shakespeare and nobody can interpret Shakespeare, and you decided to say, hey, ChatGPT, what does this mean? Like, what does a Shakespeare paragraph mean? And it could determine kind of what the overall main topic of that Shakespeare piece was. And it could also, you could also say, well, what does this large, article mean? What is it trying to say? Can you say that in a paragraph? Because I don't feel like, what's the TDLR? And it could tell you what the main topics within that, article is. So it gets really smart. But also natural language processing can say, okay, well, give me all the data from Tupac songs from the beginning of time, and basically write a piece of a song that he would write in 2024. And it could do that for you because it learned from the data and the natural language processing, and it could interpret, what he might say today. And it works the same way with video, with audio, basically able to translate languages, and answer questions in a natural language. Like, for instance, I know Snapchat just recently had an AI, and I don't use it much, but they had an AI bot that was kind of going to be your best friend there. And all of a sudden it was like kind of reaching out to me like, hey, and I'm like, hey, and it's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just, eating something. And I was like, what are you doing? And it's like, well, I'm just chilling. And I'm like, okay, well, this is getting out of control, and then it starts like having real conversation with you just based on the things that you watch. And it's designed basically like these chatbots to stimulate conversation like, a real human would. And you can find value in this, like in, virtual therapy with chatbots, things like that. But natural language processing basically is that bridge for the human interaction and helps the overall quality of the AI. So machine learning, and we talk about machine learning. Sometimes people say, oh, AI is machine learning. And basically, machine learning is not necessarily what AI is. It's just a specific approach within AI. And it focuses on algorithms. So now you have jobs that are emerging now where designers will design, or engineers will design algorithms for models for companies to learn from and make predictions for companies. And basically it just learns patterns from data and makes predictions or decisions. So it's a powerful tool within the AI toolbox, but it's not necessarily AI. And as you can see here, machine learning has these branches, which I'm going to get to in the next slide. Supervised learning, and reinforcement learning. I hope I'm not going too fast because I get excited and start talking about it. So types of machine learning, we talk about supervised learning. So basically that's training a model to make predictions or classifications where you would tell the model, establish if this is a bike or a car. And you would kind of classify that for the model. You would give it a bunch of data and say, okay, well, or if this is a tree or the bush, if it has a long stem or if it has a long branches or whatever, it's a tree. If it has short branches, it's a bush. So you kind of supervise that data, and that's how it would learn or classify that data for you. Unsupervised learning is like the model basically learns patterns from the data you just give it. So you don't need to say, well, is it a bush or a tree? It'll start learning relationships between everything. It'll start classifying and say, start identifying flowers on the branches, and it'll start making connections itself, depending on how much data you put into it. And so reinforcement learning is basically you give the data and then you let it kind of classify and do its own thing. And then when it comes back, maybe for your business purposes, you just need to know if it's, going to be a customer marketing opportunity or not. So you kind of just like, hey, I just need to know if the customer is going to buy the product or not. So you kind of classify it at the end. You're like, I just want these small parameters, not a large parameters, but you can start the process of kind of classifying it within the machine. So deep learning, if you remember the diagram, deep learning is within machine learning. Okay, so basically deep learning is a subset of machine learning, and it uses neural networks, modeled off of the human brain, in the way that we learn. And so, for instance, in machine learning, like we were talking about, you have the supervised or unsupervised learning. You would have all this data input. You would need a programmer or someone to do the feature extraction. And say that the input was all these different cars, and you have, oh, the window looks like this, or the wheels look like that. And you would need someone to kind of extract those features. Whereas deep learning, you would just let the computer learn and continue to evolve, and you don't need to do a feature extraction. So it takes quite a bit of data to do that, and it takes quite a long time to really understand deep learning. generative AI. Now we're here. Now we're at the place where generative AI is what everybody's talking about. It's what everybody's using now. You've seen products like Midjourney and just you can create videos just from using a prompt. You can create a work now by saying, scan in this, Mona Lisa and give me a picture of Hillary Clinton that looks like Mona Lisa or whatever. You can create new text, new images, new music based on the data that is existing and that we've been feeding to the monster forever. You can make any kind of creative contributions, and you can also predict the outcome of events as well. So say, I know I've seen in the past, people have taken like screenshots of like these bar charts for stocks, and they screenshotted the bar chart for the 5-year period. And they said, okay, based on this bar chart, can you predict, at what, number this stock will be, May 2025. It is really, really smart, generative AI, and it really does get smarter. It thinks in the way that we think as human beings, but it is faster, and it has more data. We can't hold as much data. So I made the connection, but I'm not the only one that made the connection to generative AI being like the human consciousness. And here you see how deep learning works within this kind of architecture of there's an input layer, there's these hidden layers, and there's this output layer. And then that's our kind of the way that our human brain is as well, but the way our consciousness is as well. So there's what we conceal, our unconscious mind, our subconscious mind, and then what we reveal. Generative AI works in the same way. So they're taking all the data, the unseen thing, and through layers, kind of identifying ways to kind of do that output layer. It's the same way that, you might be a certain way, or what we reveal might be a product of like our trauma, or like a product of, our environment. We basically define what generative AI is going to be. So all of the biases within generative AI, all of the, bad things is a part of us, is a part of, our human consciousness, regardless of if we want to have it there or not. So I made these, like I said, in like, I think it was Adobe Express or something like that. But these are kind of similar. We're humans and generative AI, human consciousness, we're both capable of learning and adapting. We're both capable of creating new ideas and concepts. We're both able to understand and respond to the world around us. So very, very similar that we're getting with this generative AI concept. So there are a lot of benefits of AI. For instance, diagnosing diseases. You could take scans of cancer patients from the past 50 years, look at those scans, see similarities, find and diagnose diseases earlier. You can recommend appropriate treatments by the way that your body or your health responds to certain treatments by, all of this data for as long as we know, looking at people's health records. We've all seen the AI driving cars, and being able to navigate or identify like, okay, if that's a bike, or if, that's a dog, and kind of navigate their way out. Artwork, music, poems, there's a lot of trouble going on with that right now. It's tough for graphic designers with all of the tools that they're building and within AI right now. I just recently went to Adobe Create Now conference, and essentially the things you can do within graphic design within like 10 seconds is just absolutely mind-blowing. And basically recommendation, this is a lot with the UX recommendation systems, chatbots, healthcare. When I was working at Southern New Hampshire University, we were thinking about the opportunity for people to use their previous experience to get college credit. So you could upload your resume, or you could upload your LinkedIn or something like that. And then we could identify within all of the data of our courses and say, hey, well, here's an opportunity for you to earn a course in, humanities, because you've done this for the past 5 years. So there's great opportunities and benefits in the opportunities in AI as a whole. Also, risk of AI. This is a quote that was from a study. This is a pretty controversial quote, but 50% of researchers say there's a 10% chance or greater that humans go extinct from our inability to control AI. That's something that is kind of mind-blowing. But these are early AI researchers. This is a quote from like 2022. I won't say that it's, something that I completely believe, but I don't know what to believe. These people have been, researching AI for a long time. But basically, when you invent this new technology, you have a new set of responsibilities. And unfortunately, there's an imbalance in power right now, because who we know who has all of the technology for generative AI, Google, OpenAI, these are large corporations. They're not being regulated in any way in terms of ethics or anything like that. It's not like the government can say you can't do this or can't do that. With this technology, they have a tremendous amount of power. Also within writing code and exploiting vulnerabilities, so cybersecurity, omnipresent surveillance in mind reading. I don't know if you guys heard about kind of these wavelengths in the room from your Wi-Fi. There's a way that you can kind of read those wavelengths, and technology can kind of understand where you're at in the room when you're moving around. All of these things are kind of omnipresent. The way that, your phone, of course, your phone knows everything about you. And it just gets smarter. So now it starts to predict what you're going to do next before you even do that. It's in your subconscious. 3 seconds of your voice can synthesize basically someone to record your voice for 3 seconds, and then they could call the bank, or they can call a family member. Hey, can you cash at me with your identity? And also AI develops theory of mind. So that gets really scary when you're thinking about AI becoming more like human interaction. And so this can get really, really deep, because you're talking about a really intelligent computer. I don't know if you guys have watched like Westworld, but really, really got scary there. But that's one of my favorite kind of AI shows. You should definitely watch it. I don't want to scare you guys too much, but here's some scary, things in headlines. Application of artificial intelligence in police interrogations, and the proposed effects it has on racial and gender bias, exposing bias. That's a huge one here with gender. What are self-driving cars tell us about our risk? Twitter, Microsoft, AI chatbot to be a racist asshole in less than a day. So all of these things are kind of defining not just our future, but more so like for our children as well. And they're becoming reality, because that is our reality, or that is within our subconscious, or that is our truth. So this is just an example of what people are trying to do to be responsible in terms of AI practices. This is from Google, their 2003 responsible AI practices, talking about being socially beneficial, built and tested for safety, upholding high standards of scientific intelligence. These are kind of the principles that they're working for, the people who are working on the technologies to kind of follow as they're going through their building of, their super intelligent AIs. So I just wanted to go over some of the UX UI tools because we're all designers here. FigJam right now, you can sort your stickies quickly. We all do like retrospectives. You could just basically highlight all the stickies, and instead of, getting a volunteer to move the stickies over, it'll kind of make distinctions for you and sort it for you. They also have, you can summarize everything. You could say, summarize this whole thing, and then you have notes. Then you don't need a volunteer note taker because it can summarize it for you. FigJam, again, using ChatGPT, which basically ChatGPT and all of these, if you're ever building an app or anything like that, it's open source. So like you can use ChatGPT to achieve any kind of tool. So they're giving this kind of large language model away for free, essentially, for you to use. And that's why FigJam took advantage of that. UiZard. It's basically something that you can generate UX designs from prompts and edits with, dragging and dropping. So a lot of people are capitalizing on, different ways that designers can become, AI centered. Another thing is that you can scan screenshots from apps and then turn them into editable mockups. That's really a cool idea. I mean, I'm sure we've all had research that we've done, and then we've got to look at the research, and we've got to look at the screenshots, but this is a way you can literally design and iterate at speed. Musho AI, I think Emily sent this to me. This one, really simple. This is what they're doing these days. You get an AI, this is a simple Figma plugin. This plugin, I'm just writing a dashboard for, a recipe generator. And this is like a little video. I don't know if you guys can see the video, but I just used it before I came here. So I said, I want to create a dashboard for a recipe generator site for specific dietary needs because I'm vegan and gluten-free. So that would be something cool to me. So it just starts thinking and makes a cute little animation. And then now you can see it starts generating the page for me. And with features like Figma has with dev mode, you can essentially just create code very simply if you have, or at least you can have a first iteration. But as you can see, this just starts generating this web page for me. And Genius AI, I'm on the wait list for this. Basically, you can use like make a component generator, which components, if you worked in design system and creating components, it's a headache. So it's basically, creating some UI designs. Seems cool. Colorblind. So you can take a picture or, any kind of portrait, and it uses deep learning to learn whatever that style is from that photograph. And you could take a popular movie or a pop art or, anything that interests you, that you like, and you can put it in there and it will generate kind of this color palette for you based on that. Something cool for designers. UX Pilot, they have a Figma plugin as well, but right now they've got some beta stuff going on for wireframing, stakeholder interviews, kind of creating that framework for you. So the possibilities are endless here. Question and answer, this is where we're at now. I hope I didn't go too far. I get excited. So any questions here at this point, I'd love to take them.
Nothing in the chat so far. If anybody wants to think of some and pop in, I have a few things we can discuss on some of those earlier topics. First thing I'd like to know, and I think maybe everybody would, did the stock price prediction work, and could we all retire next year? Because I never would have thought of that.
I haven't used it. I haven't used it yet.
Okay,
So I
so
saw
that's
someone
it.
else use
Probably
it.
worked if we don't know about it.
It's one of those things where you save it and then, save it, bookmark it, and then you don't go back to it. You haven't gone back to it yet, but I should have been a millionaire by now. I should have tried it. I'll update you guys.
We appreciate it. Yeah, we'll see the next call next year from your yacht.
Yes. Love it.
Some other things we're wondering if you had a perspective on around that. Seeing just how rapidly all of these models are growing and really exponentially. And we, as you point out, we don't truly know how much data that these companies have and how much they're using. Is there anything in terms of concern in your perspective around that kind of snowball effect, where the most popular models become the default choice and it makes it harder for a new organization to bring in different types of modeling, different types of processing, and maybe even makes it difficult to counteract some of those built-in biases because just the biggest wheel keeps turning?
Well, yeah, that's why I wanted to bring up the human consciousness and the fact that no matter how much we hide, eventually we're going to be, manifested in this AI. So it's like the fact that they're getting all of this information from us. Google's been getting it from us forever. Our phones, Apple has been getting it from us forever. So something that we're giving very freely. And this is a way of the world that I don't know if we can stop, or that we're, you know, but more of a like a philosophical kind of way. It's like, do we want something that smart, that intelligent? Is that something that's going to be valuable for us in the end? Um, so I think overall there needs to be some sort of regulation in regards to how people use the technology. Could be very valuable, but seems like you said to be a lot more risks.
Great. Thank you for that perspective. On that as well, is there anything, really in particular that keeps you up at night right now, whether it is something that is a concern or something that's you're excited about and you're really thinking about where it's going to go next?
Yeah, I'm excited about seeing how different apps will evolve. Like maybe have like personal trainers that are, I don't want to put the personal trainers out of business, but an app that, has someone who's alive, like holographic personal trainer, maybe, just those opportunities of the future are really exciting. And just whatever you can imagine, that's what I'm thinking about it, and the possibilities of that, and also entrepreneurship for a lot of these AI companies coming up, and I hope that they are successful and that they continue to be responsible if they are. Like I said, I'm a vegan, I have dietary needs. It would be really cool if there was something very easy for me to, generate recipes or whatever, and the use of that. And I see a lot of people using these tools to do things like that and make people's life easier. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Great. I know just hearing you say that makes me so excited. I would love to just be able to maybe take a picture and say, I've got this in my pantry. What can I make? I don't want to think of a recipe for tonight, or do I need to
Exactly.
get one or two things to make something really good that I'm missing right now?
Exactly.
Exciting. Yeah, that's really great. As we're moving there, but where we are right now, you mentioned there's a kind of a couple different types of these data sets and how this work is done and how it's generated. We as people using these tools, is it fair to say like we can have a higher level of trust in this supervised labeled data versus the unsupervised unlabeled data? Or is that just kind of reading into the terms? 'Cause I know we definitely saw that attitude from a couple people on just It's exciting, but I'm not sure if I can trust it yet.
Yes, and I know we have a question after this, but basically, I think that the technology is smarter and it's going to continue to get smarter. So yeah, feature extraction, will probably become a thing of the past. And that's when you talk about it kind of taking over. So I think it'll be smarter because it continues to learn and faster than we can, and it has more data. So yeah.
Yeah, again, that kind of it helps itself, it grows itself. Zoe, please go right ahead.
Hi, Don. Thank you so much for this. I've been paying attention to like the news and podcasts, but this is extra, extra. Do you know after sort of the like collapse of OpenAI's like nonprofit board that doesn't seem to be being super effective anymore, do you know of any organizations or groups that you think have like any realistic traction to be making headway against this like vast slippery slope of just capital and commerce?
Not really. I mean, there's smaller people that like I follow, that, for instance, the head of AI who was at Google, and I kind of follow her on LinkedIn, and she left Google because of what they were doing in terms of their AI. Sounded pretty dangerous. So it's kind of more individuals that are kind of rebelling against the machine, but you can't fight the machine, you can't fight the money, you know, uh, you can see that in our politics. Like if you've got enough money, you know, uh, you can kind of do what you need to do on an individual level.
Great, thank you
And
so much. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, please.
no, go ahead. No, I was going to say next
I
question.
was going to say, yeah, we couple other questions in the chat. Yeah, Juliana, we have another one on what tools are you using to stay up to date on the latest software and trends? Are there any
Um,
specific, resources or outlets great to learn about this and stay up
Oh,
stay up
yeah.
to
You
date?
know what? I want to share the Slack group that I'm a part of. It's just, Slack groups, things like that, LinkedIn groups that I'm a part of. And they have just like channels for, you know, basically, like AI news, books and stuff, education events, AI and design. And so I can share that Slack group as well, but different LinkedIn groups. So like little groups that are really interested in AI, and we kind of galvanize around different, news and different things that are coming out, different technologies, and also like the event I went to for Adobe for their generative AI features. So just learning within, design and people who are like-minded.
Awesome. Yeah, always wonderful to learn from each other. Keith, you have your hand up. Please, the floor is yours.
Hey, thank you. Don, thank you very much for the conversation tonight. This is really interesting. Um, while I have used GPT and a few other things, I'm also a bit of a naysayer, if you pardon me. Um, I wanted to refer to a few books I've read technically wrong, which actually came out before all of this boom. But she talked about like biases built into applications, specifically from coders that have one particular experience in their life. So they're missing out on like the entire population, what they would want. There's I'll reference a couple other books um, that I want to get, like, what's her name? Joy. I won't try her last name because I'll screw it up, but Unmasking AI, and
Okay.
also Weapons of Math Destruction. I have those on my reading list, so I want to try to chase after those. Anyways, it's just like while AI seems like a really good tool, and I say it as a tool to help. I know it seems like it's displacing people, or maybe it has already, but the final product isn't always up to par as far as like what a person can uniquely create. Like
Absolutely.
the entertainer slash advocate, I call him an advocate because he kind of acts like one. Adam Conover had a segment on AI, and he actually targeted, I think he targeted the tech bros on how AI for your car is not ready yet. Because there's just way too many things that a person does to scan the road, and then you have like a few cameras trying to like pick up all the problems that happen while you drive, which is impossible right now. So,
Yeah,
any,
there's been accidents, plenty of people
yeah.
killed by AI cars. So yes, you're absolutely right.
So, anyways, again, I'm just kind of stating stuff that everybody knows already, but I think it's a good um, tool, again, a tool to explore, but we need to refine it a lot more. And like for a couple of the other attendees here, it needs more governance to make sure people don't mess around with it the wrong way. That's all I have. But thank you
Absolutely.
again.
Agreed. Agreed, for sure.
Thank you, Keith. And I'm actually going to jump ahead a couple questions on that note of governance. Leslie, we have a great one from, are there any laws in the queue right now for governing AI use and specifically around unethical practices?
No losses as far as I'm aware of. And that could be due
Yeah, I
to,
don't believe.
no, and that could be
Oh,
due
go
to,
ahead.
that could be due to the amount of money that the corporations have as well.
Yeah, there are currently some laws going through in Europe. Actually, I'll take this to plug a client. I've been working with a nonprofit, the International Association of Privacy Professionals. It's been really great to learn a lot of the laws going on behind this. Really, a lot of the scene around legal control and legal regulation is happening in Europe right now. So it'll be interesting to see too the ripple effects of that around the world as those start to get reviewed and passed.
Interesting. Yeah, keep
And
us
we have
updated.
Yeah, definitely IAPP.org. It's been a great learning resource. It's been fun to work with them. We did have an earlier question too around the current application of this. What tasks do you find yourself using some of these tools for most often?
I use this thing called Phrasely AI, so I might write something, um, that, like a paper or something like that, or email, something important, something, or a business document, and kind of want a different tone. So kind of, I know Grammarly does that too, but just kind of prompting, kind of learning more prompt engineering and trying to refine my approach in writing, and, make it less salesy, make it less, things like that. So trying to like refine my writing in that. I have tried a lot of these kind of generators of website generators and stuff like that, but I haven't had much luck with those. Um, but yeah, I definitely use Adobe because I do still shoot and, generative AI feel. I know they use that for my picture today. So kind of expanding the picture or just taking out the background, things like that. AI is really smart with that.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think I can still barely remember, many years ago when Magic Eraser first came out, how exciting that was, and now it can do the exact opposite and just fill in anything anywhere. It's pretty exciting to see that.
Yes.
All right, great. Any other last thoughts people want to add in? I know I have one last thing I would like to bring up with you. Especially where we were just talking again, the different areas this is being used, and outside of some of these digital tools, self-driving cars comes up a lot. And first thing that comes to my mind, the incident, I believe a few weeks or a month or two ago, where a car was essentially suddenly attacked kind of out of nowhere, and thankfully nobody was inside it. It was completely autonomous, but really just kind of jumped at and burned. What would you say to people who have that kind of reaction and response to where we're at right now? Is there anything that you would say in terms of trying to relax them or anything like that?
I would say be wary for sure, because that's not the first incident of cars crashing. I wouldn't rely on it. I mean, I know that there certainly needs to be more testing, there needs to be more research, there needs to be, more protection in regards to people using those technologies when they're not considering all of the risk involved. So I personally am not going to get an AI car until I know that it's completely safe, so that's my thought on it.
I love the perspective. There are certainly some very exciting applications. We can do a lot with it right now, but maybe not quite everything just yet. Wonderful. Any other final thoughts in the chat?
Juliana?
Juliana, please go ahead.
I know that a lot of people here are UX design professionals, so I have questions that are probably not as advanced as someone who's been in the field, but I really only learned about UX design through Google, like just through Googling it. And I'm just curious if there's parts of your job that were a bit unexpected, or like if you could talk a bit about just the general design process or what UX design entails. Sorry, that's so broad, but just
No,
like
no, I got you. Yeah, you see your Google search and it's kind of still general and you still don't kind of know, but essentially it's design thinking and kind of solving problems together in a team. Usually you're working with engineers and a product manager, and you guys are working on a product. So like typically it'll be like an app or a website or something like that that you guys need to design, but they're very specific problems that you guys kind of got to solve together. So a lot of the times you don't really know that you're going to have to be doing a lot of research. So always have in the back of your mind, especially in your first UX interview, hey, what are my favorite apps and why? And that's going to help you kind of discover what usability is all about, because that's what a UX designer is all about, making that user experience for the user easier, seamless, and very delightful. So what you're going to be doing is a lot of collaborating, and you're going to be basically trying to solve issues and also work within technical restraints, because sometimes you have, you can't do the biggest and best thing. You might want to just do whatever gets from point A to point B. So I don't know if that's kind of helpful, but it is a lot of wireframing and things like that and coming up with concepts. But it's really about telling the user story and making the user's journey easier. And that's something that is up to you. So that was kind of unexpected, that even though you might have a project manager telling you, okay, this is what you need to design, you still have to come up with different ideas and ways to make it better, because they're just kind of giving you the requirements. So hopefully that's some good advice for you. And I'm happy to, take some time to talk with you more if you have more questions, and you have my LinkedIn in the chat.
Well, thank you. No, that's super helpful. That definitely helps a lot.
Awesome.
Also, like you mentioned before, it can be hard to distinguish UX design from UI design. So that's one of those, I don't know, even now I'm still figuring it out. But
Yeah, UI is just how it looks and kind of how everything kind of interacts, the components. But UX is more user experience. So you're thinking about the strategy of how you're going to get from A to B. And the UI is the user interface. So just how the look and feel of things are going to be, how it's going to interact, things like that, if that kind of clears it up a little bit.
this might be again obvious. What platform are you typically using? Like when you're working on this?
Figma.
Figma. Let me write
Yeah,
that down.
and it's free. You can try it out. Just try making some like squares and circles in there, and they also have free tutorials that you could just start from scratch there.
Awesome. That's great to know. Thank you.
Great perspectives. And I think That's one thing that's always really excited me about this field is it's very new. We're all still kind of figuring this out in a way. We are all defining our own spaces, figuring out where we bring our own backgrounds, where we can best apply ourselves, and educating people along the way in what we do, what we offer, how we can prepare, a great product, a great service that is understandable and that is accessible to everybody. And also just love seeing how many different backgrounds people bring to this. Don, I absolutely love that. Just resonated so much for me, from your photography, from your filmography background. It's just lighting is change your lighting to change your perspective, I believe is the way you put it. I love that. I love it. It's so simple, it resonates, it's very clear, and it's just such a unique perspective, again, from those specific skill sets, those backgrounds. So many people can bring so much value to user experience design as a whole, because user experience design is about users, it's about people, and we are all very, very rich, complex animals for sure. I see Danny in the chat as well, started in graphic design before moving into user experience. Yeah, I've worked with many people who have come from a graphic design background. It's certainly helpful, especially on the user interface side of it. Leslie as well. Whiplash, how often tools change. Yeah, I remember it was Slack, or not, excuse me, not Slack, Sketch used to
Sketch,
be one of the
yeah.
big dogs in town. Yep.
Yes,
And then I feel like right around the same time, everybody started to move over to Figma.
yes. And Envision is gone now, so that was a huge tool back in the day.
Yeah, I was surprised that that's just kind of went away. I remember using Envision. I remember using Axure. Now it's going to start dating myself a little bit. Freehand Miro. Yep, Miro's a nice one. I have a lot of experience with that. I've been dabbling in FigJam a little bit, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Actually, I think another side question while we're deviating a bit from AI, any perspectives on the breakup of the merger between Figma and Adobe as somebody who uses the tool sets on both sides pretty heavily?
Yeah, I mean, we were all kind of happy that it broke up because Adobe, once you start using the Adobe tools, you use a certain way that you work. And Figma has always been like a free tool. And we're so used to the way that that works in a very specific, context. And they were coming out with so much new things like dev mode and variations. So it was kind of like, we love Figma, designers love Figma so much that we didn't want Adobe to kind of shake it up and kind of mess it up because Adobe had XD and it was not the best. So I am sure that they learned from Figma in the way, and they probably will come out with a new product. But we were all very happy as designers that Figma just stayed doing what it always did, which is being the best design tool for designers or UX designers.
Awesome, thank you. See some other people as well coming in from animation backgrounds, journalism, teaching, very exciting. My background was in math and physics and carpentry. So really anybody can start doing this. It's about a discipline, it's about an open-mindedness, and it's about making those kinds of human connections. Oh,
Absolutely.
Quark Express. Now there's a throwback. There's a real throwback. Good to see that name pop up again. All right, wonderful. Don, any final thoughts to share? We're coming up on the last few minutes of our meeting. Again, really appreciate everybody jumping on and joining us for tonight's talk. Very educational, very well put together. We really appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate everybody being here. I really love sharing with you guys. And the quotes here from Marcus Garvey: take advantage of every opportunity where there is none, make one for yourself. I know it's a really tough market out there. I just want to encourage all of the designers to just continue learning and pushing themselves and, staying on top of creating their own opportunities. And that's going to be the way to stay in a field like this with so much going on. So that's it. And once again, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you so much, and lots of thanks coming on for you in the chat. We really appreciate your time. We'll wrap up the recording now. We will have the recording posted out on our YouTube channel as soon as we're ready there. Going forward, we will also be sending out invites for the March meeting coming up within the next couple days. So very excited to keep this train rolling over the next few months. Thank you all so much for joining tonight. Have a wonderful evening. Happy Leap Day, and have a good start to your March.